Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, what we're going to talk about on this episode of the Bullet Points is Biden's big CNN interview last night. Did you guys catch what was really paramount around his son Hunter and the gun charge? This is incredibly important, not in the fact that there's gun-related questions from the son Hunter Biden, not in any of those things, because they've been litigated. They're still pending, but they've been brought to the surface. One of the things that we're going to hit on, and this is the key part, is what Biden has been in charge of assailing our gun rights. The way that he's done it, all the while his reaction to when Jake Tapper says, hey, your son's gun charges, what about that? His response is everything, and this right here, people, is why the Democrats are shedding voters left and right, because the hypocrisy and the elitism is disgusting. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think on this one and send this out, because this speaks to something bigger and deeper than just Biden's infringing the Second Amendment, because that's pretty much top level understanding. I'm going to say a quick word from our sponsor, Establishment Titles, and then we're going to dive in, and I cannot wait to dive into this with you guys in the details.
You guys heard of the castle doctrine? Well, with this sponsor, we're going to take it to the next level. And if you are defending your castle with something more traditional that looks like this, or maybe something a little more modern that looks like this, Established Titles gives you the ability to call yourself Lord or Lady while defending your castle. Now, the title packs give you 1 square foot of established land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest like you see right here. You may all refer to me now as Lord Braden. Thank you in advance. Your certificate features a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. And if you're one of the first 200 to use the link in the description box below, we can create our own little LOA kingdom near my personal plot. It makes a great last minute gift. They even have couple packs that come with adjoining plots of land in said fiefdom. They plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, one tree planted and trees to the future to support global reforestation efforts. My personal favorite reason to do this? You could officially change your name to Lord or Lady, so anything woke will have to address you by your proper title, which will send them into the next dimension, which might be worth it by itself. And you can get on that credit card, and you can even put it on your dating profiles. It makes an amazing last-minute gift. Establishment Titles is actually running a massive sale right now. Plus, if you use the code Langley, you get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/Langley to get your gifts now and help support the channel. And thank you so much in advance for checking it out.
All right, brothers and sisters, as I mentioned in the intro, we are going to talk about not specifically the Hunter Biden thing, not the gun charge itself. That's just what occurred. The important piece that we're going to focus on is the reaction, because you can tell everything that you need to know by the reaction and the underlying reasons for that reaction. We're going to dive into it again, and then I'm going to hit all the backstory and tie it together. Biden addresses possible gun charge against son Hunter. He's on the straight and narrow. That came out today. This is from a CNN interview last night. The important thing about this is where we've been. Keep in mind, Biden has vowed on multiple occasions to ban assault weapons, infringe upon the Second Amendment in any way that he possibly can. He's also come out and in April, his first year of his term, did the executive actions against ghost guns and changing through the DOJ and the ATF the definition of a firearm. A lot of the stuff that we've been fighting consistently through court battles, multiple videos on this channel across the board. All of this has been perpetrated by the person who's occupying the presidential office, Joe Biden. That's where we've been. That's the stuff that we've done. We've had to endure relentless attacks upon the Second Amendment and ourselves, and that last piece, ourselves. Because they made it about the gun owners. They made it about the people who they say are criminals because they're embracing their Second Amendment rights, something that we all have the right to do. However, when you look at someone who actually perpetrated a crime, lied on a 4473, admitted to it in a book, the sitting president, again, who did all those things against the Second Amendment, says, oh, God bless him. You know, I love him, but he's on the straight and narrow now. Really? So what about all the people that you have alienated and have basically called them a criminal? What about Smith & Wesson? What about the gun manufacturers who you said are responsible for everything that's going wrong in the world? That's what we're going to dive into. That's where we've been. Well, here is where we're going. He said this on CNN. In a Tuesday interview with CNN, President Biden directly addressed the possibility that his son Hunter could face criminal charges stemming from a false statement on an application to obtain a gun. Like I said, that's not new information. That's not the breaking part. The reaction and the why is what we're chasing here. CNN anchor Jake Tapper asked the president for his reaction to a recent Washington Post story that federal agents believe they have gathered enough evidence to charge Hunter Biden with tax crimes and making a false statement related to a gun purchase. That sounds like lying on a federal form in order to obtain a firearm. That's pretty close to a straw purchase. All of the things that Biden has offered $5 billion for remediation, $5 billion for all of the gun control advocacy groups, the relentless attack on our Second Amendment through the ATF and the DOJ through executive actions. What else do we want to talk about? But let's listen to what he said, because this part is important. Quote, "Well, first of all, I'm proud of my son. This is a kid who got, well, not a kid, he's a grown man. He got hooked on, like many families have had happen, hooked on drugs," Biden responded. "He's overcome that and he's established a new life." Oh, so any crime that he's committed, specifically around the Second Amendment and acquiring a Second Amendment by lying on a federal form, that's perfectly fine because he's turned his life around. Do you understand the juxtaposition and how big the hypocrisy is here? Because what has he called every gun-owning American across the board? All the attacks directed at you, but when it's coming after someone who is actually guilty, no, that's fine. He's turned his life around. So there should be no consequences at all. Again, this is why the Democrats are shedding voters, and we are going to pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. I continue. The president noted that his son had written about his addiction struggles in his memoir, Beautiful Things, and that he also acknowledged falsely answering a question when applying for a firearm. That would be a felony. Just saying. But let's continue. Quote, "He came along and said, 'By the way, this thing about a gun, I didn't know about it.' Of course he didn't. But it turns out that when he made an application to buy a gun, what happened was, I guess you get asked, I don't guess, you know you got asked, quote, 'Are you on drugs? Do you use drugs?' He said no. And he wrote about saying no in his book. So I have great confidence in my son. I love him, and he's on the straight and narrow, and he has been for a couple years now, so there's no consequences for violating crime for perpetrating a crime and lying on a federal form to obtain a gun. All the while, you have been leading a crusade against these exact same activities. Perfectly fine for him. Rules for thee, but not for me.' That is why this is so incredibly irritating. And again, because the hypocrisy is driving voters away from gun control candidates and going towards gun rights. We are going to win this fight because of things like this. Last thing I got for you. Attorney General Merrick Garland has left the decision on whether to criminally charge Hunter Biden in the hands of David C. Weiss, U.S. Attorney in Delaware. The Washington Post reported, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump. Okay, I'm not in this to say he is going to be indicted. He's not going to be indicted. I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen. However, what I can tell you and I can note on is the fact that this person, the President of the United States, has embarked upon a quest against Second Amendment rights in this country. Those who would support the Second Amendment rights, advocates of Second Amendment rights, all the people who he would view in opposition, calling them criminals, manufacturers, producers, trying to get rid of the PLCAA that would directly attack producers. The entire assailing of the Second Amendment industry, all the while his son is violating the very rules and laws of which Biden is trying to put on as a scapegoat everyday law-abiding Americans. And that is why we fight, and that is why we are going to continue our mission every single day. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the next episode. I'm Braden. See you later.